Hi everyone, this is Vipul. I'm working as a senior data engineer at Velotio Technologies. I have around 5 years of experience in data science, data analytics, databases, etc. Right now, I'm working with Apache Flink and building real-time analytical solutions. So let's get started with the video where we are going to discuss reverse ETL and its advantages. Reverse ETL is something which has come up recently and is sort of a buzzword into data engineering. So we need to understand why it is important and how it can help your business. ETL is a process of extracting data from various sources. The sources can be anything. It can be your Google Sheets, it can be your sales forms, Salesforces, Zendesk, Jotform, user activity on your website, the data which is coming in form of logs, etc. All the data from multiple places with multiple schemas need to be transformed into a format which can be used for further analytics, and it can be um, in a more understandable schema which is uniform, and then loaded into a data warehouse which acts as a central data repository of an organization. A data warehouse is a large store of accumulated data from wide range of sources within a company, and it is used to guide management and help them take decisions. Data warehouse is a OLAP system, which basically means that it is built to do analytics. So the data which is stored in the data warehouse is only used to do analytics and not for transactional purposes. And that is the exact reason why companies have got various forms of data stores. One data store is the OLTP system, like your Postgres, your MySQLs. These are row-based data stores. Whereas data warehouse is a columnar format data store, which means that your query might not need to extract all the rows in the data all the time. So it helps in order to store data in a columnar format, so the data access becomes faster. There are a lot of popular data warehouses like Redshift, which is a service from AWS, Synapse, which comes from Microsoft, and then we have got ClickHouse, which is an open source database, and it is gaining a lot of traction recently. A data warehouse architecture usually looks like this, that there is a lot of data sources. It can be operational systems, flat files like Parquet format, Avro format files, coming to a staging area where the ELT process is happening. It can also happen on the fly if if you use Spark or um, Flink, for example. If you build event-driven system, then you might not need to have the staging area in the between. And then the data comes into the data warehouse, which has got summary data, which has got all the metadata and also the raw data. And that data is then transformed into various data marts. Data marts are the small chunks of the bigger data which is there in the data warehouse. So think of it as a smaller tables, which usually the analysts, the data scientists use to gather and generate analytics and predictions. But the challenges with the traditional ETL is that it is, first of all, very hard to design. The secondly, it is it acts as a central bottleneck at times. So all the data is there into data warehouse. So if anybody else who is a non-technical person wants to access that data, it becomes really hard for them, and there is a learning curve involved to get that data. So even for a smaller query, like how many sales were made in last week, that is a simple select query. Even for that purpose, a data engineer is required to get the data to the necessary business person who might not be a technical guy. So that becomes a problem. It is a bottleneck. The learning curve increases, and the data engineers are overburdened with the simpler requests. So, what is the solution for this? You have gathered all the data from multiple places, you have transformed them, you want your data scientists to do predictions on them, and they are doing it. But you also want your organization to be more data driven. You want the data to be more democratically available. How do you make that happen? So, then comes a new philosophy, that is reverse ETL. If you understand it technically, reverse ETL is nothing but ETL. You are taking data from data warehouse and putting it to some different place. So it is again an extract, transform, and load process. The only thing why it is called a reverse ETL is because usually the data is loaded into a data warehouse. And here we are extracting data from data warehouse into multiple places like CRMs, MAPs, other SaaS applications, and even Google Sheets. This approach makes the data more closer to the users, like the business person, the management team, who are non-technical, and they can take a lot. They can access the data using their favorite tools. It can be Excel, it can be Google Sheet, and they can take a lot more data-driven and informed decisions because of the more democratic access to the data. Why reverse ETL? Because the process is important to make data operational and actionable. Operational analytics is possible. It can be thought of as a low effort, low latency analytics, which leads to quicker decision making. Without reverse ETL, the data and the insights are logged into the BI tools and the dashboards. So again, there is a learning curve too. You have to understand how Superset works or how Tableau works and stuff like that. It allows people to work with tools they are familiar with, like Google Sheets, Salesforce, etc. There is a dependency resolution. It brings a lot of no-code approach into the organization. Sales team marketers don't need to rely on data scientists and data engineers to access the data. And it overall leads to a very good customer experience, considering that the service provider is a data team. So the data team gives a very good experience to the overall business. So that is why reverse ETL is becoming hot, and a lot of teams and a lot of companies are adopting it very rapidly. There are a lot of reverse ETL tools available, which helps you to get this process done in a no-code fashion as well. That is HighTouch, RudderStack, Grouparo. I think Grouparo recently got acquired by Airbyte. There is Workato, SQL, Polyatomic, etc. There is a benefit of building your own custom ETL as a reverse ETL tool as well, because your data might not, the connectors might not be present in all the tools which I have listed. Your data might be coming from an unorthodox source. Think of it like you are building an IoT startup, and your data is coming from very unique sensors. So you need to have unique connectors to address that. So there you can either build your own connectors in a lot of tools which are mentioned before, or you can build your own custom solution by using Airflow, which is as simple as building any other ETL, and your data engineers can pick that up very easily. This is how the modern data stack has started to look like. The data is coming from multiple places. It goes into a warehousing solution like Snowflake, your Redshift, Synapse, etc. It is then transformed, and then the data is pushed to the end, the more customer-friendly solutions like Marketo, Salesforce, Zendex, even Slack, for example. So let's say you want to understand how many people are dropping off. Whenever a user drops after 60 days of inactivity, you want an alert in your Slack. So that type of activity is possible via reverse ETL, where there will be a SQL query which is run every night or every week, depending on how quickly your growth teams wants that particular insight, and the data is directly delivered to their Slack with the tool which they are comfortable with. They don't have to access or understand any other thing or any other complicated BI solutions for that. So that is the benefit of having reverse ETL in place. My final thoughts are that reverse ETL is a new thing in the modern data stack, and we at Velotio are closely monitoring it. There's a very hot space. Every day something new comes up. Reverse ETL is not about adding any new tool to your stack. It's a philosophy. So even with your existing solution, you can build reverse ETL process. Basically, you want your data to be more democratic. You want your teams to be unblocked, and you want low latency, low effort analytics delivered easily to all the teams who are familiar with their own tools like Slack or Google Sheet, etc. With reverse ETL in place, modern data teams turn data warehouse into central nervous system of an organization, fueling email marketing, customer support tools, sales tools, or even financial models. This means more successful business teams who can self-serve deep, useful data and more efficient data ops overall. You build more democratic, data-driven companies by having reverse ETL included in your modern data stack. Reach out to me if you need any help with reverse ETL. I am Vipul Vaibhaw, and I can be contacted at vipul.vaibhaw@velotio.com. See you in the next video.